Good morning, everyone. Happy Labor Day and welcome to the Early Edge. We've got another great show. We're always coming to you Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock, and we've got baseball to talk about today. We got a little tennis, anyone, and of course, college football and some WNBA. But before we bring in the stars of the show, which of course include you, Jason Pogwis, Brad Morris, Phil Bobbitt, Sean Ritchie, Joseph Akers, Katie Taylor, Scott Sneed. Thanks for being in here. You probably don't love this recap screen. Let's take a quick look at it right now. Chip Patterson had a tough day, but don't forget he went 3-0 the Friday before, so he certainly gave some of that back. The SportsLine picks do not come through. Mackenzie only 1 for 3. A shout out to Buckets, who was really the only one who had a winning Friday, and he goes 2 out of 3 to keep the recap screen. I don't even want to say decent here. We're 3-9. It's not a good week, but we did have a good couple week run, so we end the month on a bit of a thud. But let's start a new month with some stars of the show that are going to come through strong on a Labor Day Monday. We got Calvin Wetzel sporting a jersey. We got Mike McClure for some tennis, and Tom Casale, who I imagine is going to have some, college football or MLB. And oh, by the way, we'll have a surprise guest jump in here in just a few minutes. Tom, I'm going to start with you. We've had a couple of weeks of college football, but we had our first real week of college football, week 1, if you will. Give me some quick reaction to either trends or a game or anything that surprised you or one way or the other. First reaction coming through college football week 1.
Yeah, 2 things stuck out to me. I just feel like people talk about Carson Beck like he should be the starting quarterback for Ball State. I mean, the guy's had a couple of bad games at Georgia. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at that Miami team, the trenches, that offensive line just dominated Notre Dame. That game shouldn't even been close. That's coaching that made it close at the end. Everybody knows that. But that team is interesting only because they have top 10 talent. So we'll see where they go. And anyone who thinks Alabama just lost a game, let me explain it to you this way. Remember last September, that great first half they had against Georgia? Since that game, they are 5-5. That's an average football team the last year. So I don't think that's a one-game problem, personally.
Mike, your reaction to yesterday or just this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, echo a lot of what Tom said. I think on Alabama, I think look, they should have corrected things and righted the ship heading into this game. It was very clear that they had not done that. And I think that is definitely a coaching staff issue. It's something that really needs to get fixed. But as Tom mentioned, it is a big sample size at this point. You thought that, having the new season, the hard reset, still having great recruiting classes, you'd start to really see some progress forward. And it's, finally his team and officially his team. But they need to take massive steps forward. And I personally didn't see it. So, yeah, I think that Bama not being a little better than that was a little surprising to me. I'll admit that one for sure. As far as other situations, I thought LSU did some nice things at times. It's not an easy environment to go in there and play at Clemson like that. So pretty impressed with LSU. Not sure how I'll be on them the rest of the season there, but was very impressed how they handled that game.
Yeah, I would say I was most impressed with, easy to say this, right? Miami and LSU, I thought was very, very impressive. Calvin, let's transition before we get to Mike's tennis pick. Let's transition to some WNBA. Can you just kind of remind us of the state of things? We're winding down this regular season, correct?
We are. We got a week and a half left. The Lynx just clinched the 1 seed already. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit with my pick. But every other seed is wide open right now. Race for the 2 through 5 is really heating up. And then the race for basically 6 through 9 are all fighting for those last 3 playoff spots, 4 teams for 3 spots. So there's a lot still to be decided.
All right. We have Josh Mullenix in the chat who said, let's welcome Dabo to Tuscaloosa. Josh, of course, one of the many esteemed producers here at SportsLine and CBS Sports. All right, let's get to some of the picks as Jen M and Joe Neuenfeld. A lot of comments here, a lot of picks, some baseball picks in the chat already. But Mike, let's go to the U.S. Open. You've got to play in this Sinner match.
Yeah, always fun when you get to bet on a favorite in a tournament like this deep. I like the total games here. Going to go over 33.5 for Sinner and Bublik. When I look at this, look, you can play it in the sets market as well. Look for your Bublik to win a set. I think that we ultimately do see him get a set and we go to a 4-set match here where we would cruise over this total. But what I like about Bublik in this particular spot, he has a massive first serve and he's had a lot of success with it early in this tournament. Actually has not been broken on serve yet in this tournament. That is what I want. When I'm talking about playing against Jannik Sinner, the only way you're going to beat Jannik Sinner is holding serve. You're not going to come out here and have multiple breaks of serve against Sinner. So I expect a tighter competitive match. Could be one where we ultimately get to a tiebreaker. As I see in the chat, people typing tiebreaker central. That is that is what we're looking for here. Essentially, we're looking for a lot of holding of serve because again, Bublik has that massive first serve. He's had a lot of success with it. Jannik Sinner's struggled a bit with his serve early in this tournament, but he's got the elite skill set to continue to go out there and just simply win games and break serve. I think it's a little bit of a headbutting early here, and I think we ultimately find ourselves in a 4 or 5-set match. This one is currently priced as a 3-set match, as Jannik Sinner is minus 130 to win in straight sets. I'm not going to touch the straight sets. We could still cash that with tiebreakers, of course. But again, I think we get a competitive match for the most part, at least going into longer sets, more games. Give me the over 33.5 here.
Sinner versus Bublik over 33.5 games at minus 115. Moneybag has a question for you, Mike McClure. He says,
name.
and I don't, it's great. It's a great name. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this Felix versus Rublev match, but he says over 37.5 games at minus 200, or do you have a better play in that match? Pretty open-ended question there.
I don't generally love laying over, 37.5 at minus 200. If you wanted to play something similar, if your book allows, I would simply bet the match, to go 4 or 5 sets. You're likely going to find a better price point that way. That is essentially what you're betting there as well. Outside of several tiebreakers, but no, I would not lay minus 200 on 37.5.
All right. Yeah. Minus 200 does sound pretty steep. All right. Let's transition to some Major League Baseball, Tom. We do have a SportsLine college football pick that we are going to get your reaction and Mike McClure's reaction to. And I do want to mention Rick Funcannon says Cubs minus 123 and Jays plus 102 from Jesse B. But you have a play, Tom, on the Houston Astros.
Yeah, I kind of like this spot for the Astros. They forgot to bring their offense this weekend against the Angels. They've only scored 3 runs in 3 games. That could be looking up today, though. They've had a lot of success against Yusei Kikuchi. They bat about 290 against them, this current lineup, in 146 plate appearances. That's a pretty big sample size, and he struggled in August. His ERA is over 5. And a lot of the big Astro hitters have big numbers against Kikuchi. I mean, look at Carlos Correa is 13 of 25 against him, batting 520. I mean, that's a pretty large sample size. So based on the matchup and because they've been struggling over the weekend, I like the Astros to break out today. I'll lay the 150 against the Angels at home.
All right, we're taking the Astros money line minus 150. And I want to get to the sports line pick, and we're going to eventually, maybe in about 60 seconds, we're going to get to the home run model, and we're going to have a surprise for you there. Here's the sports line pick. TCU-UNC under 55.5 at minus 115. This one courtesy of Bruce Marshall. Tom Casale, any thoughts in this game, whether it be on this bet or really anything else in TCU-UNC tonight at 8 o'clock?
Yeah, I lean the under myself. I thought maybe the UNC under 26.5. I don't know if that's still the team total. I didn't look at it this morning. UNC is maybe the toughest team in college football to project in week 1 because there's just so much going on there. You got Belichick, you got all these new players, but you figure they're going to be pretty stout defensively, and we'll see how they look offensively. I don't know if he has his quarterback yet. We'll see what Gio Lopez brings to the table. I do expect TCU's defense to be strong this season, so I would lean a UNC team total under there.
Okay, Mike McClure, any thoughts on this game tonight?
Yeah, mostly the same. Certainly not something I'm going to play. I think there's a lot of volatility, as we've all frankly seen in week 1 of college football anyway. When you have that kind of volatility, it's very clear that the defenses can be ahead of offensives early in the season. I would lean unders, kind of following the pick there, following the team totals as well. And I would potentially isolate those to even first halves and first quarters. I don't know if you can find first half team totals like you can on NFL games, but if you can, I would look to fade some of the offenses as early as you can.
Okay. I do want to mention, if you haven't already used it yet, BetMGM account holders have an any sport parlay boost. Just make a parlay to activate the boost and you get extra winnings if it hits. Again, another BetMGM boost for you today. Again, any sport odds boost tokens, score a bigger payout if your bet hits. Speaking of payouts, ladies and gentlemen, we've been paying out with this home run model, and it's courtesy of a team over at SportsLine and Inside the Lines. One member from that team is about to join the show right after this message from our partners.
You can't count on Derek's tong skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount+.
We are back on the early edge, and we're joined by Jake Fetner, which must mean we're talking some MLB, some home run plays, and maybe some extra plays for you. Jake, welcome to the show. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
You've been red hot. Can you just update us? I know it's been kind of, going back and forth between being up 45 units, being up 59, 60 units. Let's just isolate it to the home run props. I know you all do so much other stuff, but let's isolate to the home run props on the entire season. Where is this Inside the Lines team at?
We are at 46.75 units, almost at 47 units. We got close to that 60 unit mark, which I've been striving for, but I'll take 47 units any day.
I will also take 47 units any day. Maybe we can get back up to 60. There's plenty of season left. Rick Funcannon in the chat says Jake Fetner is the man. A lot of Jake praise. Please hit the like button for Jake and give him a shout out like Rick Funcannon just did in the chat. Jake, let's take a look at the home run props and then I'll get some reaction. And if you don't mind, maybe we can coax some extra picks out of you. We got Juan Soto, Brent Rooker, and Christian Yelich. The Inside the Lines SportsLine crew says plus 300 versus plus 400 on the real odds were for Juan Soto. Brent Rooker plus 330 says SportsLine Inside the Lines, but it's plus 450 in terms of the real odds. And then Christian Yelich plus 350 versus plus 500. Jake, any thoughts on all three or any of these three that you love?
Yeah, a lot of these have to do with splits. Juan Soto's absolutely crushed Charlie Morton in his career. I think he's 8 of 14 with 3 home runs against Morton. And he crushes right-handed pitchers. And Morton is one of the oldest players in MLB, if not the oldest. He's 42 years old. So we love Juan Soto here, especially if you get plus 400 on a hitter like Soto. With Brent Rooker, he's going up against a good pitcher in Sonny Gray, but Sonny Gray's allowed 20 home runs this season, and he's a changeup pitcher, so he's good on right matchups. Sonny Gray is he's better on right on left matchups as opposed to right on right matchups. Right on right matchups, he's a little more susceptible to home runs. He's allowed 14 of his 20 home runs to righties. Rooker has hit 27 home runs this year, and the majority of them have been off righties. So that's why the model likes Rooker's spot here, especially at plus 450. Then Yelich, it's just anytime Yelich plays against a right-handed pitcher, we like him as a lefty bat. He has a near 900 OPS against right-handed pitchers. This is a good spot for him. And Taijuan Walker, if you're gonna choose a Phillies pitcher to fade, it's gonna be Walker, who's allowing a home run rate of 1.9 since the start of last year, which is pretty darn high.
I absolutely love that. I love the breakdown. And Jake, I have reason to believe that you might have brought some extra picks over, maybe a little parlay action, maybe some singles that people want to isolate. Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, I got you with the BetMGM parlay right here.
Love it.
Dylan Beavers, the rookie top 100 prospect for the Orioles, has been red hot to start his career. He's a lefty, and he's facing a right-handed pitcher in Dylan Cease, who hasn't been great over the last month. In his last 4 starts, Cease has a 6.27 ERA. Beavers has started 13 games, and he has 10 hits in those 13 games, and it's almost even money here. We like this matchup, and especially fading Cease, who has not been locating well. He's walked a ton of hitters. He's allowing about a hit per inning. Augustine Ramirez, my bad. He has a single in 4 of his last 5 games. You get his line at plus money at plus 110. He's going against a rookie for the Nationals. This is just a good spot for him. and we set this line at minus 130. And then Gurriel has been really good against lefties, but doesn't have the power against lefties. He has a sub 800 OPS against lefties. Minus 140 to record an RBI is just a little too steep. We set the line at plus 120 for him to record an RBI. So you're getting plenty of value here. I did a prop analysis, and these were the top 3 picks for BetMGM in MLB today. So we love the value here.
So, Jake, I noticed you parlayed these together, but just so everybody knows, these are per the model. Like, these are ones you can isolate and just bet straight up.
Exactly. You could bet these straight up. You parlay 2 of them, 2 of your 3 favorites, but these are just 3 good values overall.
All right. Jake, that was a ton of information in a little bit of time. What else, if anything, can we get from you? And where can, people know to go to SportsLine? And I think at this point they're familiar with Inside the Lines, but to the extent that there's a few people that have trickled in that aren't, like, where can we find, we know where we can find the model props on this show and on SportsLine, I believe, but where can they find them per Inside the Lines?
We have an Inside the Lines blog right now where we post our best model plays, anything interesting. We'll have some Heisman math. We'll have some value with who we think is a good value to win the Heisman. We hit on Jaden Daniels 2 years ago. We hit on Travis Hunter last year. So since we've started, we're 2 for 2. We have all the statistics you need to crave. We have them on the Inside the Lines blog, and hopefully we have more to come.
And Ben has already put the blog link in the chat for everybody. I'm sure he'll put it in the YouTube and podcast description as well. Jake, any final thoughts before? I know you got to exit and do all the work that you do every day. Any final thoughts here?
I like the under in the TCU game. That's definitely a thought. Unders in FBS games went 48 and 28 in week 1 last year. So I've been on a lot of unders this week, and I think that line's a little too high, especially with Belichick's first college game. And just thanks for having me.
All right. That's Jake Fetner, everybody. And he agrees with the SportsLine pick. We love the synergy there. And Jake and the crew have absolutely been crushing it. So again, a big thank you to Jake Fetner. Find all of that content at that Inside the Lines blog, and then of course across SportsLine as well. Calvin, we got to get you involved. You're wearing the jersey. We don't know why, but you're about to tell us, my friend.
I'm wearing the Dallas Wings jersey because I am picking the Dallas Wings on the spread today. It's funny, it was plus 18 about a half an hour ago when I sent that pick in. And my whole angle was going to be, like I said off the top, Lynx clinched the 1 seed. They may be taking it easy with some starters. Just came out that Caleb McBride is resting for them. So it hasn't moved the spread a ton yet. A lot of plus 17s out there. I see a plus 17.5 on MGM. I still like that. Every other starter does look like they're going to play for Minnesota, but I still think that, now not having anything to play for, having wrapped up the 1 seed, that they will probably take it easy at the end of this game. This is the biggest spread we've seen all season in the WNBA, even at 17 or 17.5. And we saw Nafisa Collier for the Lynx get hurt a few weeks ago in a game when they were up 40 and she was still in the game. She missed a few weeks. She came back. So I don't think Cheryl Reeve makes that same mistake again. I think if the Lynx are cruising with nothing to play for, she takes it very easy on the rest of the starters, and obviously resting one of them already. So this is the type of game that I think, even if the Lynx do get up 20-25, that you could easily see a backdoor here from Dallas in this one. This just isn't the type of the game that I think the Lynx are really going to care about running up the score or leaving starters in late. So this is a huge number. This is way too big of a number to me for Dallas, even with the Dallas team that's kind of dealing with some injuries of their own and struggling a little bit. I just think that this one finishes closer to 15 or 16. So I love getting 17.5 for Dallas in this one.
Let me ask you this, because to the extent that people see this show, you're super sharp, or they see the SportsLine Discord or SportsLine model, and then they see, okay, some people are sitting. How low would you go? Because this line I anticipate is going to go from 17.5 to 17 to maybe 16.5. And I'm speculating, of course, but how low would you go on this plus number?
Yeah, as long as no one else is ruled out, I would go 16.5 right now. Anything 16.5 or better for the Wings. Okay,
good stuff. If you have any WNBA questions, please ask Calvin and let us know. Namilia, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. She or he, forgive me, I don't know if that's a man or a woman. It says, on this Labor Day, let's shout out Sia, who was approaching Ironman status for his consecutive day streak as the Early Edge host. I appreciate acknowledging that. Most people don't really notice, but yeah, I don't really, you might have noticed no days off, no vacation, no sick days. It's because I love this show and I love being here with this crew right here, but also with all of you. So I do appreciate you acknowledging that because it's not a grind or anything, but it's always I love showing up for work, and I appreciate you noticing that I just don't miss days over here. Okay, we got to get to some football. We're 3 days away, or maybe in Mike McClure's book, we're 2 days away from NFL season. I had a prop to give out. It was going to be my first player prop. You might remember I had a pretty good player prop season last year. Full disclosure, look behind the curtain. There's a bit of a glitch only this morning with the player props for the Thursday night game. So I'm just going to wait for it to fix. It'll probably be within the hour. And then I will put it on SportsLine, and I'll probably just go ahead and bring it to the show tomorrow. It's a player prop on a receiver in the Eagles Cowboys game, but frankly, I don't want to give it out until I can put it on SportsLine, because there's pretty big differential between what BetMGM has versus FanDuel versus DK. It's a BetMGM number. Again, I'm going to wait for it to fix on SportsLine, and then I'm going to put it out. However, I am going to come, speaking of Dallas, I'm going to come with a pick, and it's a teaser. I don't usually give out teasers. In fact, last year I might have never given out a teaser, but again, I had a player prop that I was anticipating putting out. I do love this teaser. I'm betting this teaser, and so I'm going to bring it to you. It's the Cowboys. Oh, excuse me, the Eagles. I wrote that wrong in the thing, so we can take that off and correct it. It's the Eagles -1.5 in a teaser. Obviously, that's a 7.5 point spread, and the Broncos -2. Over at BetMGM, that's going to be -130. Again, Eagles -1.5 and a 6-point teaser with the Broncos -2. Listen, I think the Cowboys could be competitive against the Eagles. I think it's possible. I think it could be somewhat of a back and forth game, but I really worry about this Cowboys defense, not just because Micah Parsons is gone, but because that defense was going to give up a lot to the Eagles anyway. I think they're going to push the Cowboys around. I do think the Cowboys offense could potentially get going, and that might be a hint to where my player prop is going. But nonetheless, I think the Eagles win this game by 3 or more. I'll take that side of the teaser. And you all know I've been huge on the Broncos. I've talked to you about how I still like the Broncos over 9.5 wins. I think they have an outside shot, but a shot nonetheless to win the AFC West. I'm sure Mike McClure will have something to say about that. But I just think this is a very good team. Whether you love Bo Nix or not, I think this is a very good team built from the interior out. And this Titans team is just not going to be there anytime soon. I don't like what they do on the defensive side of the ball. Don't like their weapons on the outside. And they got Cam Ward in his first game at Denver. It's just a tough spot for any rookie quarterback, especially one that I think is going to need a lot of experience before he gets really going. So give me the Broncos -2 in the teaser, the Eagles -1.5. Again, 6-point teaser. The best price you're going to get on that is at BetMGM. I think it's -130 at BetMGM. It'll be -135 at DraftKings, and maybe -134 over at FanDuel. That is my teaser for now. Micah, any thoughts there in terms of, the Chargers? I know you're big on them. They did lose Rashawn Slater. Are we thinking, at least in your mind, the Broncos and the Chargers are maybe at the same spot now?
I think they're close. I think it's going to be competitive. I think it's more just a product of the division itself being, more competitive, overly competitive. But yeah, I think that both the Chargers and the Broncos, in my opinion, are live to make the playoffs. And it wouldn't. I think there's even a scenario where the AFC West gets 3 teams in.
Yeah, I think that's certainly valid.
Comes
there.
Down to kind of what happens in the AFC North, I suppose. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's bounce around with some picks here. Ninja 13 says Sparks versus Storm over 172. Calvin, any thoughts there?
Yeah, the Sparks continue to just be one of the worst defenses in the league, play at one of the fastest pace, still a great offense, and the Storm have been sort of playing more that way as well lately, so I do like that over.
Farzad, who, by the way, is usually in Hawaii, but is in Istanbul, Turkey today, watching the show at 5:25 p.m. Turkey time. He says Sprinkle Wings money line. We're not going that far, are we, Calvin?
I probably not. If you have like a free bet sitting around or a bonus promo, something like that, maybe throw your little $5 free bet on it if you can get like a 4-digit number on it. But that's a little bit far.
Moneybag says Saquon TD plus Eagles money line. Lock it in, chat. I mean, anytime touchdown props, I'm not super big on. Tom, do you have any thoughts on this Eagles Cowboys game? Have you looked at it? I know you're doing college football, but have you looked at this game at all?
Well, yeah, I've been a Cowboys fan for a long time,
yeah.
And I've been unhappy for a long time. And I got news for you. What happened recently hasn't made it better. Does any Cowboy fan trying to tell you that's good for the team and blah, 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 and, oh, we got draft picks. It's a bunch of nonsense. It really is. If you've seen the documentary on the Cowboys on Netflix, Jerry Jones is senile. You know that he's trying to relive past glory by making another big trade because Jimmy made the Herschel Walker trade and he can't stand it, right? So he's living in the past. And I'll tell you this flat out. If Steven's running the team, they don't lose Micah Parsons. I really believe that. I don't like Jerry Jones, but everyone I talked to said Steven really learned under Bill Parcells. He understands the football aspect of it more. So I'll say this. I think the Cowboys get blown out. I think the game is over in the first quarter. That's what I think. Because I think everybody in that locker room, when they traded Parsons, if you've ever been in an NFL locker room, a lot of times what the fans think isn't what the players think. And I can tell you right now, they're in a player in that locker room who thought that was a good move for the team. So I think blowout city.
Yeah. Mike, there's some tennis questions in the chat that I know you've responded to, but for the audio listeners, can you bring us to maybe some questions that need to be answered?
Yeah, a couple seeing, looking for Bublik to win a set versus over 3.5 sets or over total games, and asking if the same. I just reminding people that while Jannik Sinner is a massive -2,000 favorite, there is still a scenario that Bublik wins the match in straight sets. So it is not the same thing as winning a set versus over 3.5. Yeah, that's mostly it there. I'm not betting anything on the US Open women's side. Would love to. Unfortunately, just so much crossover with college football, NFL, everything just becomes a lot. Other than that, no, I think we're good.
Mike, let's close with this before I bring up the recap screen. First of all, I do realize that they've changed the price on the teasers just kind of across the board. I bet MGM did have the best price, but we're not necessarily getting good. I mean, again, teasers aren't something I usually dip my toes in. If you remember last year, I don't think I really gave one out. I do love this one. I think both of these are gonna cash. But Mike, the price on teasers is sort of spun out of control to a range where we're not in love with the prices, regardless of whether we like the actual numbers or not. And then I also want to get your comment on this Eagles-Cowboys game to the extent you have one.
Yeah, as far as teasers go, there were days where you could essentially play them at -110. It was very clear EV. Everyone did it. Moved to -120. At -120, the true number is closer to -118. It was right there, but you pick your right spots. You were able to beat it. At -130, very unlike, not to say that you can't bet a teaser and have an isolated play and go cash it like that. I'm all for it. And I will potentially do that at times. If you are going to consistently try and bet 5 or 6 teasers a week at -130, you are not going to be profitable.
100%.
And at -134, -135, you definitely won't. If that's your essential strategy there. Again, no problem with doing that. The thing that I would recommend, numbers are key, right? The reason teasers were profitable at certain numbers is those numbers are incredibly key in the NFL. So what I would recommend doing is I would recommend still finding key number, but utilizing the ability to parlay on some of these apps and parlay alternate lines, money lines, kind of create your own situation rather than be forced into a generic -130, -134 on that 6-point teaser. That is where I think there will still be a little bit of room left, but would not make it your strategy long-term to just simply find multiple teasers every week.
Yeah, I think looking at the alt lines makes a lot of sense. I don't think people really do that enough in general, whether they're thinking of parlaying or grouping some bets together or not. Do you have any thoughts yet on Eagles Dallas 7.5?
Yeah, it was one of my plays up on SportsLine. Played it early, played -6.5. I believe those numbers are probably gone at this point. I made the number 8.5 before the news. I would make it 10 now. As crazy as it sounds, defensive player like that, I think Tom is dead on. I think they've completely lost the locker room. And I think that if they don't have like this, I realize this sounds like a ridiculous statement, but if Dallas doesn't have like an opening drive touchdown, I think they're in trouble here. Like I really do.
Yeah.
Like I believe that they almost need to receive the ball to start the game and go score a touchdown. If they're unable to do that and Philly's up 7-0 in this game and they're doing it by running the football, it's just good night, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Tom, you're shaking your head there as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention not only is Parsons not there, their second best defensive player isn't there. Overshawn got hurt last year, and he was by far and away their second best defensive player last year. And you could also almost make an argument that he was their best. That's how good he was playing football last year. And he got hurt late in the season. So they're not just down. They're down their two best defensive players from last season. So I agree with Mike. If good things don't happen early, you can run and you start hitting that live bet on the Eagles because it's going to be ugly.
And I'll say this, there's some turnover on the Eagles offensive line. There's still some lingering injury questions as well that we need to get clarified before Thursday. But it's not going to be a bad offensive line, that's for sure. And it's very rare that Jalen has all three of his weapons healthy. We'll see on Dallas Goedert, but they didn't play healthy together at all. So last year, I mean, they did, but it was very few times. So I think the offense is going to hum, and the defense, we'll see. My prop implicates garbage time to some degree, maybe, but I'll put that out on SportsLine as soon as that glitch is fixed. You'll see it later today and on the show tomorrow. All right, let's get to the recap screen. We certainly spent a lot of time talking about games and extra bets that Jake Fetner brought as well. I've got this NFL teaser: Eagles Broncos -1.5, -2 at -130. That's for Thursday and Sunday, of course. We go to today: Sinnervis Bublik over 33.5 games at -115. Then Tom Casale, Astros money line -150. And then we go to Dallas, the Wings +18 at -110. That one courtesy of Calvin Wetzel. Then we go to our SportsLine play, which is TCU-UNC under 55.5 at -115. That one courtesy of Bruce Marshall. Tom and Mike gave their thoughts, and so did Jake Fetner, gave their thoughts on that game as well. And then we go to our top MLB home run plays. We had Jake Fetner come in here and talk to you about them. Juan Soto, Brent Rooker, Kristen Yelich, and he also gave out a few extra plays. I don't know, Ben, if we can put those up for those who have joined the show late. But again, he parlayed these together. But Beavers, Ramirez, Gurriel, he has the over half a hit, over half a single, and then under half an RBI. That last one is pertains to Gurriel there. So hit those if you'd like. That was a long show. We had a lot to cover here on a Labor Day, and we have more to cover on CBS Sports Network. This is our fall schedule, and I will tell you, Monday at noon, this crew that you see on the screen, plus a lot more, we'll be talking Monday bets, NFL, soccer. We're going to have John Eimer, of course, Buckets, and Martin Green on that show. I call him John Eimer on the network show, but Buckets here. Let's see, Wednesday at noon, Wednesday at 1, Friday at 1. That Friday at 1 show is going to be the NFL prop show. Wednesday at 1 is going to be the college football picks show. Excuse me, Wednesday at noon is going to be the college football picks show. Wednesday is going to be the NFL picks show at 1 o'clock. A lot going on CBS Sports Network, but also here on YouTube as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it. We went 33 minutes. I took way too much of your time on a Labor Day. Enjoy your day off, and let's hopefully cash some bets and bounce back from Friday's recap screen. A big thank you to Tom, Mike, Calvin, and of course, Ben on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, and Jake Fetner, who's been delivering for you all year long in the MLB department. Ladies and gentlemen, again, have a great Labor Day. We'll see you next time. I'm the Counselor of Cash. We rest our case.